HCAM News is supported by our viewers and by Hopkinton Drug, located in this historic New England town since 1954. They are a multifaceted store dedicated to providing clients with an array of healthcare options.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of HCAM News. I'm HCAM News Director Tom Nappy. On today's edition of HCAM News, we have highlights from Week 3 of the Hillers Spring Sports season, plus a whole lot more. But first, Elmwood School hosted their annual March Madness Book Challenge and had the entire school together for an assembly for the first time since the pandemic.
Poets. There was a classroom in second grade, Mrs. Evans' class, who wrote a poem for me about all of the books, and I'm going to share that right now. Okay? It says, Dear Mrs. Moriarty, so they put it into a letter. Thanks for making March a party. We loved the books and learned a ton, all while having so much fun. From the floating fields and infinite math, to how Selena found her path. We learned about kelp under the sea and a horse that counts to 3. How Fauja Singh and Hazel Ying Lee were strong, and elephants and people learned to get along. Thanks for filling our month with gladness. We love reading and March. Thank you to Mrs. Evans' class for that. Fills my bucket for sure. So we had our 8 that started our competition. You all had to do some difficult voting and make tough decisions. And we got it down to our final 4. And it was the floating field against If You Take Away the Otter. And on the other side of the bracket, we had Clever Hans against The Elephants Come Home. And again, you had to do some tough thinking. Which of these books moved on to the finale? And of course we know, right? It came down to The Floating Field and The Elephants Come Home. So as you know, The Floating Field, you can see these are 2 real pictures next to the cover of the book. The floating field took place in Thailand in a small fishing village called Koh Pan Yi. The entire village is built on water. And you can see it there, it's completely surrounded in that top photo. That's the whole village. All the houses are on stilts. And those kids wanted to figure out a way that they could play soccer. And there you see in that bottom picture, that's the original field that they made with that wood. Did you like that story? And our other finalist was the story of Lawrence Anthony, right? The Elephants Come Home. Here you can see a couple of pictures of Lawrence out in the bush with his elephants at Tula Tula, where they were allowed to live peacefully and safely, right? So here we see, those are all real pictures from The Elephants Come Home. Right. And now we're down to our final vote. Okay, so there are 29 classrooms that voted. 29 classrooms voted. I'm going to give you a little more data. Here's how the vote came out. One book had 15 votes, and one book had 14. A difference of just one vote is what's going to separate the winner and not winner. But to me, all of the books we had in this competition were winners because I love something about each of them. But for the purpose of our March Madness battle, we are going to pick one winner. But this is how close it is, right? This is nerve-wracking. Sometimes before you have a big reveal, sometimes there's a drum roll. Okay, open. Go ahead, friends, help me. Go, Sean.
Hiller Spring Sports got some exciting wins during week 3 of the season. Here's a look at the latest. A whole lot of Hiller action on Wednesday, April 13th. Hiller boys lacrosse took down Ashland by a final of 9-5 to earn their second straight win. Owen McDonald had 3 goals and 2 assists. Jack Proventure had his first varsity goal, and Wyatt Ian Tosca forced 6 turnovers as the Hillers improved to 2-3 on the season. Hiller girls tennis picked up a road win over Norwood to improve to 3-1 on the season. Paula Sandelli, Victoria Allen, and Ivania Matur picked up singles wins, and the Hillers took both doubles matches. The Hiller boys tennis team also picked up a shutout win over Norwood to stay perfect at 4-0. Lex K, Adam Glace, and Stikar Ravi earned singles wins in the victory. Hiller girls lacrosse lost a close one to Ashland, 14-11 at home. It was a good back and forth battle, but the Hillers come up just short. Hiller softball hosted Norwood. Norwood took the early lead in the top of the first, but the Hillers responded in the bottom of the inning. In this game, to compete with this tough Norwood offense, right back up the middle, throw to first, in time, throw home, off the mark, and a run scores. That'll turn into a sacrifice ground out for Holden, and it's a 2-1 game. And this is hit in the air, and no one's going to make the catch, and there'll be no play made, and a run will score. A miscommunication in the infield, and DeSimone is around to score. Paharik up to third, Harrigan to second. Callery to first, Charlotte Can to the plate. And this is hit high in the air, over to center field and caught. Runner from third, gonna tag, throw off the mark, and the Hillers take the lead. And now the throw to third, not in time. So sacrifice RBI fly out for Can. As Paharik comes around to make it a 3-2 Hiller lead. Hopkinton leading 3-2 in the bottom of the second, and they added more. And she crushes this over to left center to the fence. See ya! Home run, Caroline DeSimone! A 2-run blast! Absolutely annihilates that ball. A 5-2 Hillers lead. Hopkinton ended up taking the game by a final score of 7-4 and captured their first win of the season, improving to 1-2 overall. We caught up with first-year Hiller head coach Will Collins after the game.
All right, Coach, congratulations on your first win at the helm of Hillers varsity softball. Very impressive performance. out there today. It seemed like it took a little bit of everything to win this game.
Oh, absolutely. I think this game we didn't make it easy for ourselves. I think, we're in a situation where we allowed a lot of base runners in the first inning, but we were able to get out of it with 2 runs, and we kind of let our bats do the talking. We caught up, and what I was so proud of is that, when it just seemed like things weren't going our way, people stepped up and made plays. So I told the team after that, we played as if we were going into the game 2-0 instead of 0-2.
And Caroline DeCiviti absolutely crushed the ball out of the park. That was just unbelievable.
Oh my! It's the second time I've kind of seen one. She hit another one like that in the scrimmage, and it was funny being the third base coach, just telling base runner like, "Go, go, it's gone." And I think I know she kind of had a few at bats where it was like she was kind of close, but right when she got behind that, you knew it was gone as soon as she hit it. It got the team really fired up too. So I think that really drew the momentum on our side.
And a nice job by Charlotte Can working her way out of some jams, and then Cedia came in to close it out. Can you talk about your pitching today?
They were just outstanding today. I know Coach Carter does a lot with the pitch counts where they hit the spots, but they're very consistent throwing strikes. They hit their spots, and we made plays when it really counted. So there are times, even that first inning, where I said, we allowed 2 runs. It could have been much worse, and even Juliana came in, and a couple people got on base, but I think we took a deep breath as a team, and we made the plays when it counted. So it was even though it was like a 3-run game at that, it was still anything could happen, especially in softball. So can't be prouder of them.
Well, Coach, congratulations on your first win at the head coaching position at varsity. Hopefully many more to come.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited. I think this is great for our momentum going in vacation. I think we're going to be very competitive for the rest of the year too. So I'm very excited.
Hiller Baseball hosted Norwood on Thursday, April 14th. Scoreless game in the top of the third, but Norwood threatening with 2 on and 1 out. John Damari, the pitcher and cleanup hitter, will step in. 2 on, 1 out. Runners on first and second. And he gets a piece of this one up the middle. Glove by the second baseman, flips the short for 1. Throw to first in time. 4-6-3 they go for the inning-ending double play. 4-6-3 they go, and the game remains scoreless. Heading in to the bottom of the 7th, game still scoreless, and the Hillers trying to avoid extra innings. So thunderstorms and rainstorms expected to hit the area. And he gets a piece of this one. Into left center it goes. That'll drop down. It's going to keep on rolling. Carranza flying to third base. Here he goes to home plate. And the Hillers win! An RBI triple by Andrew Gunn. A game-clinching RBI triple. And the Hillers take it 1-0.
Wow. How do you like them apples?
Unbelievable! Andrew Gunn comes through with the walk-off RBI hit. And the Hillers take the game 1-0 and improve to 2-0 on the season. Norwood falls to 1-2. We're going to take a quick timeout. A whole lot more ahead. Don't go anywhere. HCAM programming is supported by our viewers, thank you, and by Phipps Insurance Agency, representing companies such as MapFree Insurance. Their family-owned independent agency is deeply rooted in the communities they serve and offer time-tested insurance products to fit individual needs. Since 1950, Phipps Insurance specializes in home, auto, business, condo, and renters insurance. Welcome back to HCAM News. Hopkinton Youth and Family Services recently hosted a mental health and suicide prevention seminar. Here's a look.
I wanted to tell you, too, just that everybody has been reading the news and knows what's going on with COVID these last couple of years. And what's happening in Hopkinton is pretty universal throughout the country, certainly in Massachusetts. one of the things, I know most of you are familiar with the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, and 2 years ago, I think it was 2019, basically the survey said that about 30% of high school students reported feeling so sad or hopeless for a 2-week period or longer that they stopped doing their usual activities. Well, that's an early sign of depression. 30%. 2 years ago, about 18% of high school students said that they had thought about suicide, that they had seriously considered suicide. Again, staggering numbers. And about 7% report that they made a suicide attempt.
What do I need to do? Who do I need to reach out to in order to be at a place where I can say, all right, let's talk about that driver instructor. What didn't feel so great about that? And tell me more about that, right? An important thing that Jim mentioned that I want to really reiterate is sometimes kids might not want to come to you first, or they might be a little hesitant. Sometimes that can feel like, ouch, what, you don't want to come to me first? But in this kind of situation, it's really helpful to have your own community to think about who can you talk to, who can be a good active listener for you, and who could you reach out to maybe have a little different spin or way of asking questions so your child has more than one person that he or she can talk to. And then what do you know about your child, right? What is his or her coping skill? If you're the kind of person who likes to give a lot of information, right? You're problem solving, you like to give a lot of information, but your child's like, just tell me like when it's time for me to know. I don't want to have too much advanced information. You want to know that about him or her, right? So you find a better time, a time where he or she is more receptive to the conversation. What soothes your child? I find that it's really important to think about, we do a lot of problem solving when we're worried about emotional health because we're worried about consequences, but going back to what you know can also be really soothing in the moment. Do they like to go for a walk? Do they like to watch movies? Can you just kind of sit and be a good active listener? Or maybe not even talk at all, but having that calming presence can be very helpful. So that's what I mean by going back to what you know and sort of using those skills.
Prior to this year's Boston Marathon, the Boston Globe hosted a public forum regarding their 100+ years of coverage of the Boston Marathon. The Boston Globe hosted a Boston Marathon coverage forum at the Hopkinton Center for the Arts. The Globe Marathon coverage is currently on display at the HCA until April 23rd.
Well, certainly what was interesting early was that we had a morning and an afternoon paper when I got there in 1974 with separate staffs. So it was an all hands on deck. Probably getting a reverb here. If you weren't doing the Red Sox game at Fenway, you were doing the marathon. So I'm very familiar with Hopkinton because my first 4 or 5 years, I was out here every year. I was the kid. So do the start, kid. So after the 4th year, I'd done everything I could think of. And I did a story about the woman who owned a house near the starting line in the pre-porta potty era. So everybody who got caught short would knock on her door, use her facility, and then sign a guest book. And I said, but everyone knew that woman.
Right. So growing up, you always looked forward to Patriots Day because you had it off from school. But I was also a runner from very early on, from junior high. So you knew you had the day off. So you would go to track practice, you'd go up the hill, you'd take bus 222 to the Red Line, take the Red Line to eventually get to the Back Bay, and you'd go along Calm Ave right before Hereford, and that's where you'd stay for years and years and years. But at the same time, you read everything about the Boston Marathon. So the pre-race coverage in the week leading up, Saturday especially, Sunday especially, and Monday, to have those race results of every single finisher, and you would go down and you'd be like, hey, I know that person. And you just go through every single column. That was a highlight. But what the Globe did for us, as well as giving the mass participant or the mass spectator something to look forward to on Patriots Day, was they made those elite runners those professional runners into household names?
Of course, there's different times, and seeing that is still jarring. I think that 1951 is the year my dad was born, and looking at it, looking at all the pages compared and looking at the years of evolution and how, you said women is accepted into the races. The marathon is a very international sport and having a lot of international athletes. But one thing that I thought about too was how sports always reflects your community. And I'm a big believer in that, and anything that happens, it's a big unifier. And I think after seeing what happened to Ahmaud Arbery running in the neighborhood, you think about it and see what the BAA has done with that in terms of all its work and advocacy, but he was running. And running is what? The core of the community of the Boston Marathon, the BAA.
I think especially in the digital age, as all these stories of not only 30,000 runners, our professional field, 500,000 spectators, there are so many stories that do come out of Marathon Monday, but also just the lead up to race day. So we really try to work closely, especially with Matt's team, to pitch those stories, to make sure that we are telling the unique story that you haven't heard before in the 126 years of covering the Boston Marathon, which honestly is challenging at times, but it's also a fun challenge to think through how can you make something that has been done by so many people for so many years unique and fresh and still have that perspective. And I think the digital transformation over the year is something that has really affected that. So, leading up to race day, I know that there's coverage on Boston.com, Boston Globe, fairly regularly of these really compelling stories of the everyday runner who might be raising money for, a certain nonprofit, overcoming an adversity in their life. And seeing that coverage that the Globe puts out is something that, really helps us really remember why we do what we do year over year.
View the entire program at our YouTube page, youtube.com/HCAMTV. It's now time for some happenings in town you should know about. On Monday, April 25th, it's the annual EHOP Know Your Vote program to get you ready for a Hopkinton Town meeting. The EHOP Know Your Vote program will air live on HCAM April 25th at 7 p.m., and it will also be live at the HCAM studios. On Wednesday, April 27th at 7 p.m., live from the HCAM studios at 77 Main Street, it's the Hopkinton Women's Club Meet the Candidates Night. Meet some of the candidates that will be participating in this year's Hopkinton Town election on Wednesday, April 27th at 7 p.m. at the HCAM studios. Own one of these wonderful Hiller H flags. For more information, head over to hopsenior2022.com. They are just $30 each, and all proceeds go to benefit the Hopkinton High School senior class of 2022. Our photo of the week, courtesy of the Town of Hopkinton Twitter page. The Boston Marathon was back in Hopkinton on Patriots Day for the first time since 2019. It was certainly nice to see everybody back in town for the Boston Marathon on Patriots Day this year. Upcoming town government meetings include on Wednesday, April 27th at 7 p.m. We'll have the annual Meet the Candidates program live from the HCAM studios. And also on Monday, April 25th at 7 p.m., the EHOP Know Your Vote program. Certainly don't forget about those. And also the Board of Health is meeting at 5:30 p.m. on Monday, April 25th. For all the government meetings live on HCAM, head over to hcam.tv/gov. And for more information on upcoming town government meetings, head over to hopkintonma.gov. Believe it or not, we are out of time for this edition of HCAM News. But don't worry, next Thursday at 6:30 p.m., we'll be back. For all of us at HCAM, I'm Tom Nappy. As always, thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Get a little muscle.
Carazza with a pretty significant lead off of first base. That pitch outside. And Miles Kidd behind the plate has done a great job throwing out runners.
You think?
And he is certainly going to watch the speedy Carazza very closely.
I
Checking
feel
at
a
first,
little
running
rain.
back safe.
I feel a little rain.
Yeah, some rain starting to fall. That could become an issue. Fouled away.
Ooh, big cut. Could be an issue if Gahn loses this ball. No wall out there. Hit a gap, he can run all day.
Some thunderstorms and rainstorms expected to hit the area. And he gets a piece of this one. Into left center it goes. That'll drop down. It's going to keep on rolling. Carazza flying to third base. Here he goes to home plate. And the Hillers win! An RBI triple by Andrew Gahn, a game-clinching RBI triple. And the Hillers take it 1-0.
Wow. How do you like them apples?
Unbelievable. Andrew Gahn tattoos it.
Hit a gap. That was it.
Well, you only needed one run and some good pitching and perfect defense to win this game, and the Hillers did it all, and they take what was a great pitchers duel between Norwood and Hopkinton by a final score of 1-0.